Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a case where a woman was not provided with enough information and consequently her baby was born with severe disabilities. In this case, there was a woman called Mrs. Montgomery. Mrs. Montgomery was type 1 diabetic, and one of the risks involved in a pregnancy where a woman is type 1 diabetic is that she's likely to have a baby that's larger than normal. Consequently, one of the risks associated with this type of pregnancy is something called shoulder dystocia, and this is when a woman's giving birth but the baby's shoulders become stuck at the pubic bone. So because the baby is likely to be bigger than normal, that weight is likely to fall upon the baby's shoulders. Now, usually in this situation, and when a woman's going through pregnancy and at the time of labor and that risk does materialize, usually there'll be several options that the doctor may have. The first option that the doctor may have is performing something called a Muck-Roberts maneuver. This essentially is when the nurses or the midwives hold the woman's leg and force their knees towards her shoulders, which widens the pelvic inlet. The second way of dealing with it is inserting the baby's head back into the uterus and then performing an emergency cesarean section. Dealing with it is using a surgical procedure called cystectomy, which involves cutting the pubic bone. Now, just to go off on a tangent, this case happened in 1999, and cystectomy is now regarded as an outdated medical practice. Just bear that in mind, that this case is, like, the facts of the case is relatively old, but it went to the Supreme Court in 2015. So going back to the case, so this woman was giving birth and the risk did materialize, and the doctor performed the third option, which was the cystectomy. Now, one of the things that happen during this type of birth is that there's a lot of risk attached with these type of maneuvers and these type of surgical procedures, and the risk is also attached to the baby, not just to the mother. So in this particular case, during the labor, the baby's umbilical cord became occluded, and this deprived the baby of vital oxygen. So the question for the court was the doctor negligent for not providing the information in relation to this type of pregnancy, namely the material risk of shoulder dystocia developing, and was the doctor negligent for not offering the alternative, which was a cesarean section from the very beginning, which could have avoided this type of labor. So in this case, the doctor did not mention the risk of shoulder dystocia developing, and the reason why she did not mention it is because if she mentioned this small risk to every woman, then every woman would want a cesarean section. So in this case, the Supreme Court decided that the doctor must take reasonable steps to ensure that the doctor discloses any material information and offer any alternative treatments that are available. So how does a doctor decide whether something is material or not? Well, there's two ways of deciding that, and the Supreme Court identified it in this case. So the first way is what would a reasonable patient would want to know in that situation, and the second way is what would a reasonable doctor disclose in that situation in relation to the risk and alternative treatments that are available. And this video is not intended to provide legal advice. It's not intended to provide medical advice.